welcome to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm your host, Spencer, and with me today I have a very special guest. Now, one time I got in trouble for saying I always have a very special guest, even though it's always true. So I've decided to change it and play a little improv right at the beginning and give myself a chance to describe this improviser using the first letter of their first name and adding an adjective in front. It's a usual improv game. So today, I can't say super because that's mine. It's usually Super Spencer. So I am going to say, Showtime Scott, because that's not an adjective, but you are Showtime Scott. How's it going?
That's my Christian name. That's my given name. So that's
great.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. How's it going, Scott?
Good. It's good. It's
good.
Almost over pandemic times. Almost. Hopefully.
Almost. Hopefully by this recording it will be over. Yeah. By the release of this, we'll see.
Yeah.
But let's just dive in. What is your relationship to improv or your improv background?
First saw improv at the Market Theater at Pike Place Market, Unexpected Productions, or Seattle Theater Sports, as it's called. And it was kind of like the best kept secret in Seattle. It was like, if you're a theater nerd, you're like, you know the different theaters around town, you know what's good, but this improv show, Seattle Theater Sports, like you have to get on the list, you have to go wait in line. It's where the gum wall is, if you've ever seen the gum wall in Seattle. It's very gross and very wonderful. First time I ever saw improv there, and and then years later, I landed in LA, and I tried to take classes at a certain unnamed theater that no longer exists, that kept canceling their classes. And I've talked to people who used to be a part of that theater, and they're all like, yeah, it was a mess. Like I would show up to class in LA and nobody would show up. It was pretty bad. And then eventually I started doing a sketch show at IO, and the people in the sketch show were like, check out IO West. And so I kind of drank the Kool-Aid there pretty quickly and fell in love with it and just dove in and just went like, started getting all the books, started reading everything. And I was there at a time when like the rotating cast on the IO stage was Keegan-Michael Key, Jordan Peele, Jack McBrayer, Rich Tallarico, Kukowski. I mean, you could see everybody there. Andy Richter, Andy Dick, all the Beer Shark Mice guys. I mean, it was, looking back, it was awesome. It was an awesome time to go there and to see all these performers and to learn from them, to take classes from them, to be in festivals with them. So I performed at IO for a long time, did a ton of shows there, did opening night the Improvised Musical, did the Deltones, I did a bunch of Herald teams there, did the one and only Improvised Shakespeare show, Shakespeare Extempore, which was like, for a hot minute, we did Improvised Shakespeare at IO. And then eventually was like, I wanted to see what UCB is doing. So I went through their whole program when they had like through level 500, and I did that and did a bunch of stuff. Went over to Comedy Sports, really enjoyed what they were doing. Had not done short form at that point, and kind of bounced around between Comedy Sports and IO a little bit, popped into UCB every now and then. And then kind of found Improv Theater, which is kind of, they're not on the improv map a huge amount. It's one of those things where you might be at the IO bar and somebody's like, ooh, you've done improv? Well, I hear they do really cool stuff. It was like a hush, similar to Seattle Theater Sports, not like the best kept secret, where like, if you were kind of tired of doing Heralds, or you had done all the Heralds you ever thought you were gonna do, it was kind of like, ooh, maybe check out, genre and narrative improv. Because I noticed that all these theaters would do genre and narrative improv, but none of them would really teach it. You might have, there were amazing people like Shuli Cohen or Derek Miller or Andrew Melton or Michael Pollack who could teach you some narrative stuff, and they were amazing. Like they were just gems at it, but there was no school for it. And so going over to improv was really nice to suddenly dive into Chekhov and Jane Austen and Twilight Zone and I mean, just all these classic genres, and study them for 6 months and learn how to do that. I still perform with them here and there. And then also started doing shows at Second City, where I think you and I met. And we met a little bit at Comedy Sports as well. And I think Second City is such an awesome little community out here, really supportive, awesome group of teachers and people. And one of my old buddies, Josh Funk, who was like, one of my mentors with opening night. It was really fun to return to him and kind of under the shows that you and I have done together. And yeah, and then now currently we're hoping that some of the shows that you and I've done together will return. I perform with a group called the Improvised Generation, which is a completely improvised show in the style of Star Trek Next Generation. And that's, we're doing shows on Outpost 13 coming up. A really cool thing about that show is that a lot of Star Trek nerds come out to perform in that show or to be at that show. Writers from the show will come to see the show. Actors from Discovery have been in the show. And I know way too much about Star Trek right now.
I know nothing about Star Trek, so that's fine.
Yeah, but yeah, I've had a long and awesome journey. It really started in Seattle at Seattle Theater Sports. What was really cool was returning to Seattle and saying, "Hey guys, if you guys ever have time, I'd love to hang out or whatever." So they've been really sweet to bring me in as a guest performer and to teach as well. And so I pop back there when I can. And yeah, I love improv. I think you're cool.
Thanks.
I'm a Virgo.
Likewise.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's kind
I'm
of
not a Virgo. You're cool. I'm a Capricorn.
Got it. But it's kind of cool that my improv journey kind of like we kind of dovetailed. We're like, hey, I know you. Like our paths kind of crossed pretty quickly, and then it was, we're doing shows at Second City, and we'd see each other a ton, and that's kind of cool that now we're here. Like you're a part of that journey too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That all being said, I have no real segue into the next question, so I'm just going to ask it. But actually, it actually really does kind of relate, because you're talking about how these connections lead you on this like improv journey to wherever you are, which actually kind of works for what do you love about improv? What keeps you like I was going to say continuing consistently at the same time, and it came out to be whatever I just said. But what keeps you like coming back and continuously doing improv?
I think that there's, and you can attest to this, no matter what, it's always scary to some degree. And it's always surprising, just no matter how good you get or how confident, you don't know how the show's going to go. And really, when you invite people to a show, I mean, you don't know. It could be the best cast in the world, and you don't know. Like, hope it goes well. You will do everything you can, but I think that it's constantly interesting and constantly a challenge and constantly begging you to be vulnerable, to be true to where you are in life. I think the best improvisers are ones who bring everything that onto the stage. They're present, they're vulnerable, they are willing to show all of themselves on stage and not just play at performing. I think I use the idea of posturing. I don't like that. There are people who get on stage and posture a ton and love to kind of show how awesome they are at this thing. And I think it's far more interesting to see you on stage. Theatricality is great, right? Shakespeare and getting, a little extra, theatricality when it comes to performing is great. But I think ultimately it has to be a balance of that and truth, that whole truth and comedy thing, vulnerability. And I use the phrase, and it's kind of a cliche now, that it's kind of like baseball where, you can posture all you want and have all the fanfare and throw your bat, but you can either hit a curveball or you can't. And I do like flair in sports. I think that's great. But ultimately, you either put up or you shut up. You can either hit that curveball or you can't. And to me, that separates great players from ones who think they're great. And it's the same thing with improv. It's just a blank stage. And to me, you can either survive or you can't. And some improvisers can do a little bit of improv and and they survive over here, and some survive over here. But I think what's interesting is what's dangerous is no matter what happens, no matter who you're with on stage, no matter what the genre is, what the format is, are you willing to jump on that stage and be brave and be yourself? That's what keeps me coming back. And I also think that, I think that wherever my life goes personally, it feels like the improv lessons are always there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eric Honeycutt, one of my Herald teachers, and he's in The Reckoning, amazing performer, amazing guy. He once said, Scott, just start taking the step onto stage and then figure out why you took it afterwards. Don't wait until it's perfect. Little things like that, right? Mick Napier talking about reach out for an object and don't have an idea of what it is. Surprise yourself. Get lost in all the right ways. And I feel like those life lessons, knowing you, I know that you have those yourself, where you go, don't plan too far ahead. Be prepared, but not too prepared. Protect yourself, have boundaries, but also be open. I feel like I keep coming back to improv because it keeps coming back to me. The life lessons, the improv feeds the life lessons, and it just, I don't know, I keep coming back. It just pulls me.
I love that. Yeah. No, it's actually funny that you're talking about the life lessons, because one of the big things I've said on this show is like, I generally don't remember improv scenes that I do or that I watch, because it's improvised and it's like really lives in the moment. Especially when I'm doing a Herald scene, and like, let's say I'm coming out and my character does a thing or whatever, and then they bring me back in the second beat, and I'm like, what was I doing in the first beat? Like, I literally can't even remember from beat to beat like what's happening. I'm like, you just gotta like really like pound it. Like, you have to tell me exactly what you want me to do, and then I'll do it and I'll be fine, but you have to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
But there are those moments where I've been like in class or on stage, even as a performer, or in the audience watching or playing, and I'll go, oh, this is what that means by X, Y, or Z.
Right.
And so for me, that's something that, those scenes I remember because it was like an aha moment for me. Are there any scenes that, or like games you played, or any shows or whatever, specifically any scenes, if you can think of any, that you remember because they had these aha moments for you as an improviser, as an audience member, whatever, or that were just memorable for whatever happened in the scene?
Sure. I was going through a big breakup in rehearsing. I have two that I want to say. I was going through a big breakup, and I was rehearsing the Improvised Generation, which is improvised Star Trek. And me and my friend Jess were on stage. We were just rehearsing, and she goes, boop, 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 beep. Welcome back to the ship, Dr. Scott. So that's my character's name. We basically have set characters. We have a set ship, but everything's improvised. So we know where we are, but we don't know what's going to happen that night. So we study it like a play, but we improvise it like improv. Nothing's pre-planned, but we have to know like everything about our position. We have to know everything. Like, if somebody dies, we have to know where to go on the ship, who's in charge, like what's the, like, it's nerve-wracking. The one night I was the captain of the ship, because I'm like fourth in line, and I was petrified. Like, I'm just, and it's a fake ship, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I can go off on that. But me and Jess are having a scene. She's like, welcome back. And I go, no, I'm still on that planet. And we basically set up that this alien had created an illusion of the ship. And I was still being held captive on this alien planet. And they go, no, Dr. Scott, you're on the ship. You're here with us. Please stop being crazy. I'm like, no, I'm still up on that planet. I know that I am. And Jess and I are kind of negotiating what's going to happen in the scene. And again, keep in mind, I've been through a big breakup doing this. And I'm going, no. She goes, Dr. Scott, you're crazy. You're here on this ship. And she goes, and then finally she goes like this. She kind of like does this beautiful move of, and you can see that she is like just feeling the raindrops. And you already know that she's transformed back into the alien. And she goes, aren't the raindrops on Rana 4 lovely this time of year, Dr. Scott? And then I'm like, and I look up and I can see like the dissolved like ship going away, and I'm still held captive. And she goes, what do you want, Dr. Scott? And I looked at her and I just started bursting into tears. And I said, I want to wake up. I just want to wake up. I just want to wake up from whatever this is. And it hit me like a flood. Whatever I was going through personally at that time burst through. All I want to do is wake up. And I think that's something we can all relate to. Whatever this is, I just want to wake up. The pandemic, a breakup, losing somebody you love, being embarrassed in life. And I just sobbed and just said, I just want to wake up. I just want to wake up. I just want to wake up. Like going home again, right? And I look at that and I go, number one, negotiating well with a scene partner on what it's going to be, both being lost at the same point and then discovering it together, and then the burst of emotion coming out. And ultimately me being comfortable enough to be where I am at and be comfortable to be myself and to like throw up my emotions onto the stage. And I look back at that as such a beautiful thing, because like if I can share my emotions through that character on stage, why not? The other one was, it was the Friday after Super Tuesday when Barack Obama was going up against Hillary Clinton. And the name of the show was, this was opening night at the Improvised musical, and it was Barack and Hillary's Super Tuesday Spectacular was the name of the musical. I come out in like after the opening number, and I figured I'm like a drunken intern or something, and I kind of go, oh, and Josh Funk is on the side of the stage, kind of going, looking at me, and I go, oh, Barack Obama, you're like so special. Everyone loves you. And I just figured like I'm some drunken intern or I'm something. And I'm like, ooh, I'm Barack. Like I'm so special. Like everyone likes me. And I keep drinking and I'm just making an offer. And this is a lesson of just economy of words and endowing. And he goes, and he just go like this, and it's a sold out. There's 90 people in the audience. And I was just, people are, dripping from the rafters. Goes, Hillary, you're drunk. And I just went, oh, I was like, everything that he said in those 3 words gave us the entire show. It was the economy of words. It was yes anding what he saw. It was just allowing me to do my thing. And I was not intending to be Hillary Clinton in that show, but he made me look amazing. It was make your partner look good. It was economy of words. It was just simple. Keep it simple. Speak to the truth. Economy of words, economy of characters. If you look at a show like, if you're doing a narrative, if you're writing a Twilight Zone episode and you're improvising it, why have 4 characters when you can have 2, right? Why have 7 people down the line when it can be just those 2 people? Some of the best and most tight scripts are of, 2 people on stage, 3 people, right? Anyway, I could talk about that for hours, but those are my 2 rough stories that stand out. Thanks for asking.
No, that's great. They were both kind of on opposite sides, where one is the simplicity of it all, and one is the complexity thrown into the mix. So I think those were great examples. Now's a good time. If you have anything you want to pitch or plug, you can just shout it out.
Yeah. So I am. You and I both have done this amazing show called Supportive White Parents, and we're hoping that comes back at some point. So I think we're starting to kind of like look at what that might look like, and I'm reviewing songs and reviewing that. This is a original musical that both of us have done at Second City, but as you know, we're hoping by the time this airs that all the theaters are open. So look out for Supportive White Parents. The Improvised Generation is an improvised Star Trek show, and it's in the style of Star Trek The Next Generation. We've been doing it since 2015. Again, it's a set ship, the USS McGinley. We have a set crew, but we improvise every story. It's really cool because we have Star Trek actors who come and guest on the show, and we have writers. We have a lot of Larry Nemechek, who wrote like the manual on every nerd's library about Star Trek. Like he's at every show. And so currently we're performing on Outpost 13, which is a Twitch channel. But I imagine that'll come up more and more as we, that'll come up more and more as a live show once theaters reopen. And I do an online show called Hillary Love Bucket, which is produced by Suki Webster. It's an improvised rom-com. Half the cast is in LA, half the cast is in London, and we do it like once a month on a Sunday, and we do an improvised rom-com that's kind of Notting Hill-esque, and that's happening. And then like periodically, my Second City house team, Brother Bradley, we do shows on our YouTube channel. And it's so funny. We're at a point where I don't know where any of this is going to go. Like the theaters are kind of opening up, maybe. But that's kind of what I'm doing. And yeah, that's what I'm here to plug. Yeah,
that's awesome. A lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff. Catch it here, there, everywhere. That being said, Scott, thanks so much for joining me here on the Improv Summit. I have one final question for you, and it's the reason why the Improv Summit exists. The Improv Summit was born out of the question I always get around the improv town. I don't know why I said it like that, but
yeah,
that was interesting. Anyway, just people would ask me like, you do a lot of improv, where should I take improv? And it became such a hard question for me to answer because it is such an involved question without realizing how involved it is. But if someone came up to you and said, where should I take improv? What would be one piece of advice or one tip that you'd give to help someone on their improv journey?
If it's truly just about improv and it's truly about being able to perform at any theater and do any kind of work, I think the number one thing is to look at, I would say, the people that kind of developed the long form Chicago style stuff. I think that's where I would start, is because I feel like, the people who came out of Second City Chicago and IO and the Chicago scene really, by my measure, play in a more dangerous version of improv than anything else. And that's no disrespect to people who come up through genre or short form or even the UCB style of like game and heighten, which is a great skill to have. But I think for me, it's study at a place where it's going to be about being able to survive on that blank stage, no matter what happens. And for my money, it's people who really are looking at two-person scene work. The Herald is, I think, a really good example of what it takes to be heightened in your listening, heightened in your scene work, and just carrying all these different things at once, right? And also looking at a blank stage and not being afraid of it. I think that by my measure, again, doing Herald work, doing Chicago long form work, doing two-person scene work where you're with somebody on stage for 10 minutes, really digging into the emotion of it, the truth of it. If you can get that down, get your 10,000 hours in on that, I think that, all the other stuff is a piece of cake. Because I think the people I see at all the different comedy sports, all the different genre places or genre, whatever, they have this core patience and this core willingness to do whatever happens on stage. And it's the hard work, right? It's similar to, think about this morning, like when you raise kids, not that I know how to raise kids, but when I see it done right, or I think about my own parents, or I think about people who are, you got to do the hard work, right? You got it. It sucks for a while. You look back and you go, oh, those times when it was really tough actually helped me later on, right? Really sticking to rules and sticking to boundaries and really taking big leaps at a younger age, and really, being willing to say okay and be under the tutelage of somebody. To me, it's the same thing with improv. If you skip all that stuff, it'll be a mess later on. So scene work, two-person scene work, long form scenes, anything that will strengthen listening, connecting with scene partners, tapping into your truth, and not always having your bag of tricks. at the ready. Another thing that Eric said to me that I think was really important in that is, if you don't let go of your bag of tricks, you never know what the next bag will have, or the next discovery. Hold on to this like batch of characters that you're really good at, that you did in high school, that you get lots. It's safety, right? The more unsafe you are, the more you dare, the more you are willing to let go of what you know, to delve into the deep, to look at that blank stage and be able to survive on it, no matter what happens. That's the place to start studying improv, and to measure your schools wherever you're at, in whatever city you're at. Measure your schools against that. If it's, a UCB school, great. If it's a comedy sports school, awesome. Comedy Sports Chicago has some amazing teachers who just do stuff like that. Seattle Theater Sports Unexpected Productions has some amazing teachers who do that. You and I both know that there's some awesome teachers in the IO Second City world in LA that are made for this type of stuff. So yeah, go the hard road. Take the road less traveled. Don't go for the easy stuff. That's where I would start with improv.
Yeah, Robert Frost. I like that. Yeah. I like that a lot. For those who get it, you're welcome. If you know, you know. That's as they say. If you know, you know. Yeah, great. Well, thanks so much for joining me here on the Improv Summit. I did say that was the last question I had for you, but as always on this show, I can be a bit of a Pinocchio and a big liar. So my nose doesn't grow because I always tell people I'm going to lie. So that's why my nose doesn't grow like Pinocchio's.
Got it. Okay.
But we've been talking a lot about improv. You want to do some improv?
Sure.
All right, let's do it.
Yes, majors. Yes, and.
All right, let's do it. Yes, and let's do it. All right, let's do some improv. Scott, what I need from you is to answer this question. Would you like a location, a relationship, or a word?
Location.
Location. I'm going to give you two, and you tell me which one you want to go with.
Okay.
The options are an apple orchard, or a kitchen.
Apple orchard.
Apple orchard, great. Now, I would also like to have you cast this scene. Who are we in this scene?
You are you're a new apple picker, and I'm a more seasoned apple picker at this orchard. We both know what we're doing, but I've been here for longer.
Great. And then who would you like to initiate this scene?
You can.
Great. All right, let's do it. Thank you, Apple Orchard. I'm telling you, the Macintosh are real ripe these days.
You're going to get us killed with that mouth.
Look, I know I'm new, but I know a couple things.
You know that boss is very particular about the words that are spoken about these ripe pieces of fruit. So you'd best be careful about what you say.
Fine. Gala apples could use a little seasoning.
Oh my God.
Ripening, I guess is what I mean.
You're going to get us murdered. Do you understand? That Mr. White Hat who sits on his porch up there, he doesn't want to hear your opinion, Kevin. He wants us to pick the apples and put them in and then to go home. That's what we're going to do.
Thomas, I don't even want to get into it. I'm just saying I know a little bit about apples. I'm just excited. Just excited for the apples. I mean, these Golden Delicious are they're very tasty. I mean, they're nice and juicy.
Oh, don't you what are you doing? You don't eat the apples, Mr. Nothing to see here, Mr. Whitehead. Just
Would you like some? Would you like some?
I do not. No, I am.
Take a bite. Take a bite.
I'm standing in front of you so we don't get killed. What?
Take a bite.
Know about apples. You say you know something about apples. What do you know about apples, Kevin?
I know this one was tasty.
Where do you?
What are they? Pink ladies. Pink ladies. Pulling them in.
You have some kind of confidence in you. Oh, good. He went inside, so he can't see us anymore. What? Where?
Granny Smith. They're a little bit bitter, a little sour. That's why they go great with cheese.
You're the apple whisperer. You are. I'm right, aren't I?
Yeah, you got me. I know about all the apples.
My pa told me about you. An everlasting being who goes from orchard to orchard, speaking the truth about all that is apple. You must be hundreds of years old.
And you thought I was just the myth.
What are you doing in Kentucky?
Here, have a Red Delicious.
Oh, I can't. Mr. Whitehead.
Sure you can.
Oh, my. I never tasted anything like this.
Straight from the tree.
My daddy used to say, he said, boy, we're Kentuckians, but we come from the poorest part of Ireland. Yeah. I don't much relate with them anymore, but you couldn't afford much where we came from. My mom and my pa came over on a boat, and they settled in Kentucky, and we've just been picking fruit ever since. And I've heard story of apples and fruit. Is this what Mr. Whitehead is eating in his house?
Of course. Making pies, making sauces. You know, they're very versatile fruit.
I've only had a few bites in my lifetime. We've been told the apples are for the people who live in the big house, not for Irish folk like me. My pa gave you a name. He claimed that he had met you once. You probably don't remember him. His name was Seamus. He said that your name was Job.
Mm-hmm. Seamus O'Connor.
Seamus, you remember my pa?
The only person who ever believed I was real.
Wow. When he was dying, I told him he was crazy. He was coughing your name until his final breath. I'm gonna lose my job. I'm gonna get punished by Mr. Whitehead if I'm seen with this apple.
You've had the power of invisibility all along. I'm an apple whisperer. I can make people disappear. No one knows that you just ate that apple, and he can't even see you.
Well,
but I only tell people once they actually give me a chance.
Sounds like you're gonna tell me next that I'm supposed to carry on your message or something and become the next apple whisperer or something, like a king handing over the throne or the power to another prince or some malarkey like that.
It would be nice. I've been doing this for years. I would love to have someone else take the reins. And your dad made quite an impression on me. I thought maybe you'd want to give it a go.
I'm just an apple picker.
No. You're an apple whisperer. If you say yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Great. Well, good luck.
Gala.
Hello.
Macintosh.
Oh.
I'm sexy apple. I'm new.
It's called a pink lady.
Sorry, pink lady. Sorry, pink lady. Is there any training?
Maybe you're just not cut out for this.
No, I want to know. No, this was going so well. I want to do it. I'm just new. That's all. Pink lady.
Okay. We'll take our time.
What?
We'll take our time.
We'll take our. Are you going to be around? Can I call out to you? How does this work?
No, you just got to go within. Find the apple whispering within.
All right.
All right, good luck now.
Pink lady. Granny Smith, I could have just looked at you.
And scene! Thanks everybody so much for coming to the Improv Summit. As always, I'm Spencer. That's Scott. See you next time. Bye!